One of the things that I find super interesting is how many sales leaders believe in forecasting. And they believe in forecasting like on a yearly basis. Like you might be able to forecast like what you have for like the next week or something. But, I guess most people don't know that forecasting is Fugazi. This is kind of a behavioral science, like insider view. So they do a bunch of studies on this where they ask CFOs of a bunch of major companies to do, basically it's called like a 20% error protocol. It's like where they're supposed to guess what the profit of either the S&P 500 or their own company or whatever is supposed to be at the end of the quarter or the end of the year. And they give a 10%, it's not going to be any lower than this 10% than this number, and it's not going to be more higher than 10% of this other number. And it gives you what's called an 80% of error margin, right? So it's like, it's supposed to be within 80% of accurate. Well, turns out these are our CFOs. These are supposed to be the most knowledgeable predictors of business that we have. Guess what the results say? The results say that they need almost a 50% margin of error, meaning like if you were in the boardroom and you asked the question, where are we going to be? You would need to be like plus or minus 25% of this number and plus or minus 25% of this other number. But for all intents and purposes, it's useless. Nobody would respect a CFO that was giving a 50% margin of error guess, basically. I mean, it's somewhat of an educated guess, but it's useless in practice. And that's exactly what's happening with most of our forecasting. We're looking at the past, trying to find this causality that shows us what the future holds, but there's way too much noise and bias and random events that happen. It's impossible to forecast what the future holds. So, anybody in decision making out there, you're relying heavily on forecasting. There's some ways to do it in the short term, but most forecasting, Fugazi.